here to tell you.
So
From the ripped
it
out.
was just a piece of no good can come from it.
No one likes us.
Fantastic. Glad we finally got this one together. We talked about this like a year ago, I feel like.
Yeah.
How you guys been?
Good.
As can be, good as can be.
For sure. So, I guess we'll start off with some very standard stuff. How long has Beekeeper been going on, and how did you guys get together?
Sorry, I'm just fucking with my computer stuff.
I can go first. So me and Allie made it essentially, you know, I guess it became like an idea maybe 10 years ago, 2010. So, you know, it was always her singing and playing guitar and me on drums, and we had various bassists. We played our first show 2012. And then, but for the last, you know, solid 5 years, Wally has been the other member of the band, and you know, now it's a solid 3. You know, no more ins and outs. You know, but we played our first show in 2012, which is terrifying to say out loud.
So Wally, you jumped in. What it was about 2015.
Yeah, something like that. You know, I had already seen them play, and you know, Dylan and I had been playing music for a while before that. Yeah, it was as soon as I started jamming with them, it was pretty. I felt like it was really infectious, and I just got into their enthusiasm and sort of So it's such a fun band to play in.
Fun band to see live too. Jesus, you guys are wildly energetic for a 3-piece. Kind of reminds me of not the same sound, but it's the same energy as Macabre live.
Cool.
So since we're on that track, other bands that you've played in, I know you guys have Fermenter. I was going to bring that up a little later. Fermenter rules, but is there other side projects you have now or that you had before?
I'll let them go first. Hit it, Dill.
Dylan's been in like 20 bands.
Yeah, I've got a lot of other. It's sort of hard to say like where a lot of these bands are right now with COVID and stuff, but I'm in a band called King Gorm. We just put out an album this year. I'm in a band called Eucharist, a death metal band from San Diego, who the guitarist in that band is also in the band Cattle Decapitation, Belisario DiMuzio.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Cattle Decap is from San Diego.
Yeah. So they recently absorbed Belisario, and now they're, you know, killing it even harder. Also, I was in a band called White Wizard, sort of a heavy metal band. And then also me and Wally are in another band called Birth Waters, where I actually play bass and Wally plays guitar.
Oh, heavy.
And that's a San Diego band, sort of like progressive black metal-y, synthy, strange, you know, cool stuff.
Right on.
And then, you know, other bands. Wally's also a member of lots of projects.
Yeah,
how about Wally.
I'm also I'm in a band called Trash Axis, which is a 7-piece kind of like folk grind band. We have a new album I'm mixing right now that'll hopefully be out, I don't know, in the next like year or so. We have 2 other albums that are out. You can check them on Spotify, stuff like that. We're San Diego based. Sort of a Mr. Bungle kind of feel, if you're familiar.
Absolutely. Early Mr. Bungle, like that first record.
The heavier stuff, but it does get pretty poppy and like kind of dancey and stuff. It's sort of all over the place.
Right on.
So I have that, and then you know, we mentioned Fermenter briefly. That's you know, me and Dylan's 2-piece instrumental project, and we're working on new material. We released a new album this year, back in August. And those are sort of my 2 main ones. I have some other peripheral bands, as Dylan mentioned, also Birth Waters. But really been focusing a lot on Beekeeper recently. and I guess fermenter as well.
Right on. How about you, Allie? Do you have other side projects now or before, or in the
Not
future?
right now.
Okay.
My first like real band was called Burnt. It was like a hardcore punk. You know, I think it was a 4-piece out of San Diego. I joined that in like 2011, but I was in bands in high school. You know, just like I don't consider them, you know, official bands, but we played like little shows and everything. But yeah, Burnt was my first real project, and then Beekeeper. And I've been asked to, you know, I get asked to be in new projects, but it's just like, I just want to focus all my time and energy into Beekeeper.
You like to do one thing at a time? Prefer it that
Yeah.
way? Or? Right on. I get that mentality totally. Is there anywhere I can find some Burnt stuff? You've got me piqued my interest.
Yeah, I think it's on Bandcamp.
Okay.
Just Burnt, and then
what's
I
the
think
label?
it's Broken Records.
Oh yeah, Broken
Broken
Records.
If you go to brokenrecords.bandcamp or bandcamp. Whichever the order is, but you know, .broken records. I think that's how you can find it. Also, Allie did guest vocals on Sergaloff's album Masochist.
Oh, right.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That was cool.
Black
yeah, I'm
metal from
always
San
down
Diego.
to do guest vocals on shit.
That's
but,
awesome.
Yeah.
For money.
So that led perfectly into the next one. I noticed that you guys are definitely all multi-instrumentalists. At least, definitely Wally and Dylan. I know you guys are. What other instruments do you play? Is it drums, guitar, bass, or do you branch outside of that? I guess let's start with Wally.
I started on guitar, and then when I joined Beekeeper, I migrated over to bass. Sort of the classic story.
Sure.
I can hold my own on some other things. I'm an adequate drummer, though I've never played in like a band or anything, and don't really have the bodily control or limb independence to like maintain a drum beat for long. But I can play piano, and I can sort of write for other instruments. Just to briefly plug something else, I wrote some music for a movie called Sign Man that's coming out. And that required sort of like an understanding of a lot of different instruments. But I couldn't necessarily play, a bunch of different instruments, but through synthesizers and keyboards and stuff like that, I can write for them.
So you're something of a composer then.
Yeah, I composed for this movie. This was sort of the first time I've done something big like that. I've done some other smaller things and worked sort of in some ancillary ways around some composition for documentaries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this was sort of my first big composition gig.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Dylan?
Yeah, so I learned drums first when I was like 15, 16, and I picked it up pretty quickly. So when I finished high school, I studied music in college, and I essentially went to college as a music major, only knowing how to play the drums like pretty well, but essentially not knowing any theory and not knowing any like concept of like harmony or melody or that type of theory. So that first year of college like completely kicked my ass, and I learned like theory, and I was lucky enough to go to a school where I had like 6 classes at the same time that all complemented each other. So like I was in piano, I was in like jazz band, I was in counterpoint, I was in ear training, I was in private drum lessons. And I like just learned theory, and I have a pretty good understanding of that. So that's what allowed me to teach myself guitar and bass, and essentially because I'm the main songwriter for Beekeeper, so I essentially will like write the guitar and then analyze it, like through theory to figure out like the coolest bass line that might accompany that or something.
Sure.
But yeah, I definitely like lean on like theory to help me, like I can play a little bit of keyboard, but that's just because I know it's like in my head, it's like, okay, well, I know what a C major is, so I can like produce it, so
Sure.
yeah.
So drums is definitely your main focus, but you have some other things that you can get away with for a little while, as I put it when I talk about myself doing it.
Yeah, like drums. It's like I need to play drums in all my bands. It's like that's the thing.
You play bass in Birth Waters.
I was about to mention that.
Yes, but it's, and that was like whoa, I'm not playing the drums. I'm like relinquishing control to you know what I mean. And it's like fun, but it's like a part of my brain. I wish I could also play drums for Birth. You know what I mean? It's like
but he's a highly skilled bassist. Like he doesn't just hold his own. He's a very formidable player.
I believe it.
Thanks.
I mean, it seems like all of you are pretty heavily, like, almost classically trained. Almost. Did you all?
I'm not classically trained.
No, you didn't take
far from it. Yeah, very much like a fiddler. Like I never really had proper lessons, and I feel that now. So where Dylan's strengths with theory, I don't have much of that at all.
Sure.
And I feel that now. I feel like I'm behind the curve a little bit on that.
Gotcha.
But we all have to have our chops up to be able just to perform Beekeeper. It's a very like demanding band. So I think, it does speak to all of our abilities.
And also, Allie is an amazing drummer.
Is that right?
It's true.
Yeah.
I can play a beat, but I like what Wally was talking about. I don't know if I could play a whole show on drums. Like, it's so exhausting. But Dylan has been giving me lessons.
Oh, right.
Because I can play like simple beats pretty easily.
Like punk rock shit.
Oh yeah, but
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, because what impresses me so much is like I'm giving her lessons every week, and drums are all mental, and it's like I can essentially like explain a drum beat to her, or like show it to her, or like make her listen to it, and she can do it like like it's all there, like it's already all processed, and then she can do it. She might not be able to do it a million times in a row perfect, like right off the bat, but like times where because I teach, like I give like drum lessons, and like certain things that would take me like 10 minutes to just sort of explain the concept of, she's just like, oh, I hear it, I get what you're saying, okay, there it is, and it's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah, I've always liked, like, with being a fan of metal, I don't only listen to, say, the guitar or vocals. I listen to every aspect of the music, being performed or played. So I've always been a fan of the drums, especially metal drums, like King Diamond, for instance.
Yeah.
All the drums on all my favorite King Diamond albums I love. So he's been teaching me a lot of that.
Right on.
And so I kind of already know, like, I have an idea of what's going on, but the hardest thing for me is the double bass. Like,
it's just exhausting, or is it keeping the rhythm?
It's just like, because you're usually keeping time with either the hi-hat or the ride, and then you got the snare, but you're like separating your feet from your hands. It's like, because your feet are doing something at the same time rhythmically. Totally. And then your hands are kind of doing something different. So it's been a challenge, but it's super fun. And going back to your question, being
instrumentalist.
Yeah, instrumentalist. I've always played guitar, but I can like play bass, if it's essentially, it's pretty similar to guitar, but I'm not like a shredder at bass or anything, but I think I could definitely play it. And I've taken piano lessons in like junior college, and I've taken theory lessons in classical guitar. But if I don't keep up on it, it just goes out my memory like instantly.
Yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it. I hear that about theory all the time, especially from my wife, who, as I said, is the smart one. We need her around for this stuff.
But also, Allie's the best simultaneous multi-instrumentalist, where like her ability to play guitar and sing at the same time is, I literally cannot do that. Like I cannot do what she does. The ability to split her brain up into both of those tasks, and like they're both, it's not like one is being sacrificed for the other, like they're both tough, you know. Yeah, so I really respect that ability that she has.
Agreed. Terry, did you want to ask a question? Oh, I lost Terry.
He's gone.
That's all right.
Terry, no.
Terry had a special question. I'll wait for that.
All right.
So you guys, let's see. So how has this pandemic affected you? We were talking about keeping up with your theory. If you don't use it, you lose it. Have you been keeping up chops? How are you able to do that during this? Do you practice remotely or?
So when it first began, like when there was the shelter in place, I don't think we met up for three months, 4 months,
something like that. Yeah,
it felt like an eternity.
Yeah,
for sure, man.
So we were all kind of just, practicing at home because we had material to practice with we're getting ready for our upcoming album, so we have a lot of material. And then eventually we started meeting up with, masked up and everything. And that was its own issue on its own, because playing in a studio with a mask on
it's brutal. Yeah,
it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
this kind of music.
Does that affect your vocalization a lot? I've been curious about that.
I wasn't practicing vocals with the mask. I was like, I'm just gonna swallow the mask every time I breathe in.
Sure.
I mean, people do it. I've seen like performances where people do it, but it's just like it's not every like. It's gonna break up all your pronunciation and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just started practicing, recently we've been practicing with vocals and dialing in everything, but we've taken off our masks. It's like we only see each other.
Right.
And we just want to focus on getting the album out, and, we're being safe, so.
When is the new record supposed to come out? No.
No.
I was deferring to that.
Are you? Well, I'm sorry. Maybe I should say this. Are you waiting until you're able to tour again? I know a lot of people are doing that.
We're just getting ready on our own, so it's we still have to get ready to record, and we're still putting vocals to songs and everything, and we're still getting used to playing everything together, so we don't have a set date to even record. Really, we're just getting comfortable playing everything.
Gotcha.
And weighing out our options for where to record, and getting everything ready.
Gotcha. Now I thought is it Wally, you work in sound, don't you?
Yeah, I'm an audio engineer. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to ask, do you have anything to do with the recording or production, or do you guys go to someone else's studio?
Well, the last record I recorded and produced it, and mixed it. This next one, I think it'll probably be a little more hybridized. Like maybe I'll bring someone in to assist in the recording. We'll probably end up mixing it ourselves. And then we always send it out for someone else to master. Yeah, I'm pretty involved in, like, as far as like also just like on the preparation side and getting our sound as dialed in as possible, in pre-production, and then sort of strategizing as much as possible as we go into the studio. I try and be there for all of that, and so pretty involved. I do work in sound, as a full-time job. So it's sort of like my pleasure to be able to get to do that with Beekeeper, and I appreciate their trust in me.
Nice. Well, I mean, that Slaves to the Grind was tremendous. So well done.
Slaves to the Nothing.
Is that the Skid Row album?
Slaves to the Nothing.
It's close. It's almost that.
What a fool.
No, it's all good. Production on Slaves to the Grind is great.
Yeah.
So are there, so we covered the instruments. As far as equipment goes, do you have a piece of equipment, each of you, that you could not possibly live without? Allie, I'll start with you.
The ME80.
I mean, this is obvious. It's kind of silly, but a tuner.
Okay,
Oh.
that's all right.
Not a Xiphos guitar.
I mean, I love my Xiphos, but you know,
I love my
there's
Xiphos.
You too can feel as good as I do about my playing with a Xiphos.
Yeah.
I'm playing a Xiphos right now and loving it.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, for Beekeeper, my main guitar is a Xiphos, and it has the stock deactivator pickups, and I've been playing that for, I think, like the past two or 3 years now, and I'm not gonna switch. That's gonna be my Beekeeper guitar for eternity.
Sure.
So, yeah, I guess that Ibanez Xiphos.
Into a tuner.
And do
And
it
a
too.
tuner, with a tuner, with a clip-on tuner.
I was gonna say, what kind
Oh,
of tuner?
no,
God,
my
nah,
God.
definitely not clip-on tuner. I want that to be on record.
Just tune by ear. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually mad about that.
How about you, Dylan? You have a piece of equipment you absolutely cannot live without?
Yeah. I like Promark Oak 747 wood tip sticks. I like oak. I never play hickory, even though like 90% of sticks are hickory, just because oak is much more dense and it doesn't like chip, and like I hit really hard. And it's funny because I've used those sticks for like years and years, but then a few years into me using them, they became the Neil Peart signature stick. Like they were like they were already a stick, but then he was like, no, these are mine now, which is cool. Like that's what I would do. But so it just meant like, okay, so these are now like 50% more expensive now for the rest of your life. And I was like, oh, okay, well, great. Yeah.
Thanks, Neil.
But yeah, I still, they're thinner than like a 5A, but they're longer. And because they're dense, they're actually much heavier, which I just really, really like.
And you said, was it a 7A? Which one were you using?
They're called 747s.
Okay.
That's just like the size. It's like a Promark, it's just one of Promark's things, but it's longer. It's like longer and slightly thinner and heavier.
Right.
But I like it. And just also big picture, I can't live without single ply drum heads. A lot of metal guys do like double ply, triple ply, like the high velocity, the metal, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's all about like, I want everything to sound like a drum. Like I like the thin, I like my kit to sound like a funk drum set. So when I hit the tom, it's like dong, because it's like, that's what a tom sounds like. And like it just, and on the snare, it's got to be live. It's got to have lots of everything in there, because it's like, that's how you show all your little, your little ornamentations and stuff. So single ply and 747s.
Yeah, I was watching a fermenter, one of your just videos of you guys just playing. I can't remember what you call it. It's a certain type of video. Playthrough. Which I am not hip to that term until yesterday. But I was watching a couple of those videos. I know it didn't seem, I could be wrong, but I didn't see any deadeners on your heads.
Yeah, I mean, like in the studio, like recording studio, it's like you do what you got to do just because it's a different sort of scenario. But yeah, like I genuinely like to just keep it open,
I like that. Wally? Equipment you can live without?
Yeah, I really
Behringer board.
I feel like my Dark Glass B7K distortion pedal for my bass anyways is like really helped me get where I wanted to be. I use a really nice head, the SVT classic head, which like already gets me like 80% of the way. And so I guess in that sense it's the most important. But the pedal I feel like is sort of a secret weapon. It also has like a really great DI out that I throw to the house, playing the brick and stuff. Like I think it goes the extra mile to make it all sound like more like a studio record.
Right.
Yeah, I just think it sounds fucking badass. So I love it.
Do you use just the one pedal, or do you have several?
I have a really simple setup. I do also have a compressor, an MXR bass compressor. I don't use it as much. I'm still sort of like figuring it out because I recently switched to active EMG pickups, and it's sort of compressed my sound already a little bit more than it used to be. So even the compressor's not getting as much action as it used to be. So it's really just bass into the dark glass into the front of the SVT and through an 810. So it's like kind of a classic metal sound in a lot of ways. The dark glass will give me a little more modern kind of sound. But yeah, I'm just going for a lot of clarity and just trying to like make sure that all the notes that I'm hitting are being able to be heard. Because there's a lot of notes.
Yeah, definitely. Since we're on this subject, is there, I'll keep it with Wally to start, is there a piece of equipment that you could never get rid of even if it stopped working? Whether superstition or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'd pretty much get rid of anything that wasn't working.
Okay.
But I don't know if I have a great answer for that, honestly. I mean, I guess I still have some shit lying around that I still haven't chucked just because I feel like one day I have a project guitar, actually, an old PVT 60 that's basically been unplayable for like 15 years. In fact, I suppose this applies exactly to your question. Except that I believe it will be resurrected is the point. So I don't think it's like totally donezo. But I am looking at it unstrung and just sitting over here at the moment. So I suppose in that sense, that applies. Yeah.
I have a project guitar too that's just a shell, and it's been about 15 years I've been meaning to do something.
It's pretty depressing.
It is. That's why I put it in the corner of the garage in a case so I don't have to look at it anymore.
Right. I've been keeping it out to like guilt trip myself into like getting it done. You know.
There you go. Yeah. It's like the telltale heart just staring.
Exactly. Yeah, it's thumping in here.
How about you, Allie? You have any equipment that you could never part with, even if it didn't work?
Is it every guitar you've ever bought?
I know. I have a lot of guitars. I have a lot. So like I have 3 Xiphos.
Whoa.
But they all work.
Thryphos.
Yeah, I got a lot. But I wouldn't say guitars. I'm pretty good at like, I actually move a lot of guitars. Not like that, but.
Off the backs of trucks.
Yeah.
Fell off the back of a truck, man.
If I get sick of, or if I, I'm pretty particular with guitars, so, and I'm kind of a collector, but if I get something and I'm not into it, I'll just end up selling it, an excuse to buy another guitar kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I actually have a 4x12 Jackson cab. It's like, I think it's from the like 80s or 90s.
All right.
But that was like my first guitar cab when I got my little half stack set up, and I never play it. Like it's just I'm in my like guitar room right now, and I'm sitting right next to it, and like I'm always gonna have it. I never play it. It's like one of the speakers is kind of fucked up, but yeah, I'm gonna hoard that for.
But also, it was used. That was used on Slaves to the Nothing, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does have.
No
a place
way.
I think we had it. Yeah, that has a place in history.
A picture of it.
No, I don't. Think
You don't think so? I guess I should know of any of us.
Yeah, it wasn't even Allie's XXX. It was your XXX.
Well, yeah, no, that's not. That. Well, that's a behind the scenes. I mean, but no, but the you can cut that out. No, but the actual cab, I think, because we had some options for sure, but I thought we kept some Jackson blended in. I don't know.
Think
That's
we have a picture of the setup, and the Jackson was.
Consult the picture, Dylan.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that.
In spirit, it was included, and it has a historic place. Also, it's a like very unique, oversized, slanted cab. Like it's a very weird one.
Yeah,
so
it has like a cool metal grate.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like shit. Like it looks like it's been through hell, but
it's metal as fuck. Then
it's a classic piece. It's an heirloom.
Yeah, it's classic.
All right, on. How about you, Dylan?
I'm not certain. Why don't I just confer with every correct symbol I've ever bought in my entire life, which is still in my house? Yeah, I don't get rid of the correct symbols because I feel like I'm gonna do something with them, or like it's wasteful to like just
throw
all that
away.
brass, so like even though it's worthless, like I don't know, I figured like one day something will
make like a conceptual art piece.
Yeah, and it's like it's only taking up the space of like one milk crate. I just have them all like filed in there, so it's like whatever. Who knows?
It's a 10-foot milk crate though.
Yeah.
Terry, you have a question you want to ask?
Well, you're never just tempted to put them all up and run around your entire house with the cymbal solo? I mean,
I like that. You should put that in a music video or something.
But like that would be cool if they were like intact. So it'd be like it'd be like boink boink bonk. Like it wouldn't sound as good as you're imagining. Like
Hey, there's people that are into that genre of music, and I kind of like just straight noise. But you guys are obviously all multifaceted and can play a variety of different types of fucking metal. What made you guys decide to just be this tight 3-piece and go with this thrashy sound, which I love? It's one of my favorite genres of metal.
I mean, it's really just, I mean, as like the main songwriter, it's really just like that's just like like my musical ideas are just in that sort of language, you know what I mean? Just like that's the stuff that makes me excited and makes us excited, and like it's like when I come up with stuff in my head or when I like daydream about music, it's like it sounds like that, you know what I mean? It sounds like it's literally just like that's the sort of just language that I'm like, when I started playing music, I was like sort of a latecomer to metal, but I got into just like Iron Maiden and like Judas Priest and Sepultura and Slayer, and I never really like, I feel like that's usually like a stepping stone for a lot of people, but for me, I kind of just like stayed there, and I kind of just absorbed that sort of language into my like musical identity, I guess. But that's I just that's just the stuff I like. That's just like that's what I want to listen to. So that's what we do. But I don't know what you guys think.
For sure, man.
Yeah, it also resonates with us. Like we love that music, and we like the way that Dylan approaches his songwriting, and we sort of try to imbue it with our own sort of like how we interpret that style of music that we grew up with and identify with so much. Also, but I mean, Dylan also does have a lot of influences. I mean, we all do. We have a lot of variety of influences, but I feel like thrash is such a like core love for the three of us that it's just like we're very much, I feel like, on the same page when we play music, when we play in Beekeeper together.
I love
think it's
man.
like a good balance of thrash with like straight up death metal, like old school death metal.
Yeah,
that's how I like, especially like on our new album, a lot of the material has a lot more. Well, it's still thrashy, but it's got a lot of death metal influences, I feel. And a hint of black metal.
I dig it because you guys are all super talented and it's fucking rad, and like it comes through in the album, and you're just pushing a genre that I love like beyond anything else anyone's done for years. I think it's I really dig it a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks. I was just thinking, like, I think what's kind of special about sort of like thrash or death metal is that it's sort of like thrash is the genre, but it's also sort of describing like the feeling, like that sort of energetic, like it's sort of like an emotion that is like achieved through like listening to like thrash. It's like the music is like thrash music, but it's like there's a special feeling that like you get that is only achieved through like that sort of like exciting fast music. And it's just, I feel like that's what we have in common, the three of us, is like we all love that feeling, you know what I mean? We're drawn to that feeling of like the energy and the momentum and the mood, so I think that's another thing that sort of brings us together.
Definitely.
Fuck yeah, man. Also, this Vargas video is fucking amazing. Who came up with the concept of this shit, dude? I love it. Like, fucking satanic, like, killer workout fucking shit is brilliant, man. Who came up with that?
We had this
mainly
conversation. Yeah, like I always wanted him to be like worked out to death kind of thing. But we started on the concept like years ago. So it took a lot of time to get everything to fruition and everything. And there were a lot of storyboards and figuring out exactly what we wanted, but
you guys actually storyboarded this thing. You didn't just kind of write it on a scrap of paper. You actually wrote a script.
In detail, and
we
like
had
with
many
numerous
meetings.
revisions. Yeah, we were dead serious. As outlandish as the result was, we were very serious and very opinionated about every minute detail of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I loved every second of it.
It comes off as a wonderful trauma fucking film, dude. Like it's definitely on that level, and you guys made it. You guys fucking achieved that shit perfectly, man.
Thank you.
Man. The donut shop gimmick, I'm like, this is all trauma all day.
Sure.
Since we're on that subject, I was gonna do this later, but your guy that played Vargas, that guy's amazing.
Yes, he is.
Dan Garcia.
Big shout to that guy. What was his name? Daniel something.
Dan
right?
Garcia.
Dan Garcia.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Dan Garcia. Now, his mustache is clearly real at the beginning, and at the end it's not. Was that a creative decision? Did you storyboard this, or was it?
So yeah, when we first started filming with his scenes, he needed a mustache. You know that was the whole thing. He was like a sleazy, kind of yuppie guy, like a yuppie bro. He had to have a mustache. And the last scene, because we kind of filmed it each scene like pretty far apart. So when we got the go ahead for the location to film the last scene where we were doing all the band shots and him working out, we gave him like, I don't know, 2 weeks notice, and he had just shaved off his mustache. So we were like, fuck, what are we gonna do? But we knew the last scene was gonna have the mustache landing on my face, or the last shot, I should say.
Yeah.
So I think Wally picked up some fake mustaches from Party City, and
multiple Party Cities. I had like 6 or 7 mustache alternatives, and we like went through it, decided what was the most gonna work, or be the least obvious.
I think it worked out.
I thought it was brilliant. Love that. The walking, and then when y'all walking away at the end, God, I pop every single time.
Shout out to Luke, I think, right? For the walking at the end. Was that his idea?
No, that was
mine.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Really, everyone's taking.
Excuse me. You can literally hear me in the music video when we're walking away.
Oh, I know you were directing it.
Re-arguing that it was a good idea. I'm like, see, this is a good idea.
Oh, like, yeah, that's right. You can hear it in the video.
Say, yeah, because you guys like, I don't know. That's and I'm like, you can literally hear me go, see, this is a good idea.
Yeah. You can hear it in the distance. He says it. That's great. I forgot about that. But also shout out to Luke, who directed that video. Really brought a lot to it. He was involved even through the storyboarding phase and was super supportive. And a lot of his deft camera work was a big part of why the whole thing made sense as much as it could, and worked out as well as it did. So thanks to him.
Absolutely. So we touched on this slightly a little earlier, but obviously you guys listen to more than just metal, and I'm sure you're into things that aren't metal. Where do you draw inspiration from outside of the metal world? Whether be it audio or not.
Hit it, Allie. I want to hear what you have to say.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, I would jump in and say that we all love movies. And we draw a lot of influence from movies that we love, I think. And like by extension, the music from those movies. So I know we all enjoy film scores.
Sure.
So yeah, I feel like in that way, we do bring some influence from that.
Anybody else?
Allie, do you disagree?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the band, I think my influence is mostly metal derived. But outside of the band, you know, I like jazz and I like classical and opera, and I think maybe with my vocals, since I do some clean vocals, I I kind of try to look at like the not classical influence, but I try to practice vocals on a more classical level,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to try to achieve what I want with my clean vocals.
Well, yeah, and I mean the similarity between those genres of music and metal are they're very closely related. Classical
Yeah.
with scales and jazz with the dissonance and things like that. That makes perfect sense. You being the, or I'm sorry, Dylan, did you want to chime in?
Oh yeah, sure, thanks. Yeah, I mean, well, uh, both me and Wally's parents are from Africa. My parents are from Zimbabwe, so I don't actually know if that your parents listen to a lot, but like my parents, like my mom would always just listen to like a lot of like African music, like as a kid, which when I was little I did not appreciate. I wanted to listen to like normal music, and what
Yeah.
I thought was normal music was like Smash Mouth. You know what I mean? So it's like, who won that one? You know what I mean? But yeah, but I've grown to like really like a lot of world music. Ishmael Lowe is like a singer from Senegal, and also Daler Mendy is a singer from India who I really dig, and he kind of mixes almost like housey music with like Western instruments, but he sings in these sort of Eastern tonalities. So there's like a weird sort of clash with the like notes he's hitting with his voice and just a sort of like Western like synth. And it makes for these like really weird vibes and stuff that I can't really ever like get anywhere else. But also my college was like a total jazz school, so I did a lot of jazz, and I love Billy Cobham. He's my favorite drummer in the whole world. He's like a jazz funk fusion guy. His album Spectrum came out in 1973. It's like influenced me in a lot of ways, and he's just like he drums in a certain way where it's like he's a genius, but because he is a genius, he is able to sort of see the big picture, and he's not always sort of playing the most complicated things. He's really like connected with the sort of primal thing where it's like drumming is it's not a complicated thing. It's within all of us, and we're used to hearing these beats and they can affect us. So he's like able to just reach out into the furthest like expanses of his imagination to like do whatever he wants, but it's still like connecting with you. And as you listen to it, it doesn't just sound like some crazy prog tech drum like thing where you're like, okay, I guess that sounds really hard, you know what I mean? But it's like everything he does just sounds so good, and like everything is exciting and it like pops. So he's my favorite drummer in the world, and I love listening to like jazz funk fusion. It's just like aggressive and weird and stuff. And then also in like 19, like when my brother's 10 years older than me, so when I was 5, he was 15. So essentially everything that my 15-year-old brother liked in 1995, I pretty much now like forever because I was like 5. So like I like a lot of weird like acid house sounding like techno stuff, and like the Mortal Kombat, like soundtrack, and like all that weird kind of like that synth bass stuff in the 808, and like Nine Inch Nails, and like that sort of went into that. But those are sort of like the weird corners of the music I like.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I agree with you about your drummer too. It's not minimalist, but it's not overly complicated, and like you said, it's kind of it's very cohesive with all the other elements.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me. Are there any metal bands that are out now, or actually any genre? Sounds like you guys do reach way outside of that genre. So, are there any groups that people should know about that they might not? Allie?
I listen to a lot of music that, like, older music, like from the 80s and, 90s. I'd say my favorite, like, current bands who are fairly new I love Black Breath. They're based out of Seattle, but I think they're like actually broken up right now. I think they broke up like a couple years ago, and I mean, a lot of bands that I love are still around, like King Diamond, and
Sure.
technically Sepultura is still around and stuff like that. In the past, I don't know, 20 years of metal, Necrophagist, but they're not together anymore. And Winter Sun is like a more current band that I really like. Like their first 2 albums, I absolutely love.
Okay. I'm not hip to that one. I got to check out that one. Is it
Winter
sun, like the sun in the sky, or child?
It's
Sun
like the
in the
sun in the
sky.
sky. It's like because they're from Finland, and
Of course they are.
I guess up there it's pretty dark in the winter.
Yeah.
So it's really like it's kind of like I don't know. It's
black metal, no?
No, it's not black metal. It's kind of like Viking metal, but more like
Symphonic Viking metal.
Symphonic. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Heavy.
The main songwriter, it's Yari Menpa. He's like, the Winter Sun is his brainchild. I'm trying to think, what was the other band he was in? Insephirum. He was the singer guitarist for that band, and then he moved on to Winter Sun. But yeah, if you like, it is symphonic metal, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I'm into it.
They're really good.
Love to check that out. Wally?
I listen to some more modern music, definitely. There's this band Krallis that I love. They're a black metal band from Brooklyn, actually. Okay. And they've been around for a while. They have like 10 albums or something like that, but I don't know. I think they're getting legs more recently. They have a couple of, or at least one sort of well-known member, the bassist for Gorguts, his name's Colin Marsden, is in that band. I love Gorguts, but also he's another band called Dysrhythmia, which is another one of my favorite bands. That's actually an instrumental metal band, and that's with the guitarist of Gorguts. Yeah, I feel like Dysrhythmia and Krallis are both like ones that not a lot of people have on their radar necessarily, but are amazing. So I would recommend those ones.
Right on. Dylan?
I'd say a band that's and they're sort of coming up, and deservedly so, but they're called Hellfire. We played with them. We played with them a few years ago when they were touring in San Diego. They're from San Francisco. We played with them at like a smaller place, and then we've pretty much seen them come back to San Diego like every year since. And every year they come back, they're bigger and better and are even more pro. But it's a 4-piece. Singer plays guitar. It's a 2-guitar band. It's like a heavy metal band, but the singer's just like, yeah, and like it's just everything. It's just like it's just what a heavy metal band like wants to be. You know what I mean? Like everything is just on point. Just sweet guitar solos, like harmonizing guitar parts. Like rad vocals, rad drums, like great energy, and it's like they bring it. It's like there's when you watch them, there's not a lot of. It's like in a lot of like heavy metal, there's not a lot of room for hiding behind like mistakes. It's all just like, yeah, it's just an overdriven guitar. Like I can hear, you know what I mean? It's like, and there's not making mistakes, and he's nailing these high notes. And they're also like they seem to be getting bigger, which is deservedly so. I think they're touring with the band, or they were touring with the band Haunt.
Okay.
So it's like in that crew. I don't know. I think like Haunt has their own record label that they're on, but yeah, check out Hellfire. They're great.
Right on. So two band names I'm shocked to my feet weren't taken earlier.
Yeah.
Before you move on, I just wanted to. I remembered another band that is actually together and current. It's our homies Sacred Origin. Okay. They're from LA, and they only have an EP out right now. I think they're in the process of recording a full album. but we've played with them once. Was it the beginning of this year?
Wow,
Right?
maybe it was this year.
Yeah, I think
That's
it was.
scary.
This year is like
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Weird.
But,
That's amazing. That was this year. That feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, but Sacred Origin, I think their EP is only 4 tracks, and it blew me away. Like, they're just straight up old school death metal. Like, they're amazing, but just fucking crazy shredders, drums, bass, guitar. Like, even the vocals, it's like fucking brutal.
Love it. I'll check them out for sure. That's
and Consciously Dying. Consciously Dying. That's a great LA based black metal band. We played with them a couple times on tour. They're awesome people, awesome musicians. Consciously Dying.
Right on. We got a bunch of work to do, Terry.
I know.
Terry,
all right.
You want to ask the big question?
I got to ask the big question. Me and Ryan basically just we got this podcast. We just bitch at each other half the time, and we call it versus this band versus that band. So in honor of you guys, we're going to do a metal one really quick. There's no wrong answer, but you can definitely cuss at each other and be really mad at me and Ryan for it.
I have a couple follow-ups as well.
Maiden or Priest?
Priest.
I knew it.
Maiden.
Dylan?
Well, first of all, I agree. There is no wrong answer.
Right.
Those are, in my opinion, the 2 best bands ever. I've thought about this a lot, and I have a distinction I have a distinction in my brain, which makes sense to me. This is what I'll say. I do believe that Judas Priest is the greatest band ever.
Okay.
But I feel like I just like Iron Maiden a little more for some reason. Like I think like there's just some songs that are just in a little bit more of a special place in my heart, even though I would say I feel like Judas Priest is better. You know what I mean?
Judas Priest has
Judas Priest.
This is what I was waiting for. I knew Ali is a mark for Judy Priest.
I like Iron Maiden, and I love Power Slave, and I also love some tracks from some of their different albums, but Judas Priest, they have such an amazing track record, and I believe every album that they've put out, I'm a fan of all their songs except for their new album. I didn't really like.
I haven't heard it yet. Not that good, huh?
Firepower. I'm sure if I listened to it a lot, I could get into it. But just for their entire discography, Judas Priest has put out so many amazing tracks, and they've even like transcended different genres of metal. I mean, they started out as like a rock band, and fucking Painkiller. I mean, that's like in the Metal Hall of Fame for one of the best metal albums. I mean,
I was going to ask you, is Painkiller the high point of Priest?
There's multiple high
Ram
points.
It Down. Yeah, Painkiller and Ram It Down are like the best.
Yeah. Is that the album cover you have tattooed?
I have Screaming for Vengeance.
Okay, there we go.
Because that was the first Priest album I got into. And it's so classic. And that came out in the 80s, but I think it was 82, if anyone wants to correct me.
I think that's...
But, I mean, that is so classic, heavy metal. Just fucking... It's amazing.
I'm with you. I think I might go Priest over Maiden, but it's razor thin.
There's no wrong answer for that
Yeah.
one. I mean, I think I'm Priest, but I can't say that Maiden is a wrong answer in any way.
My answer on Tuesday might be different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I agree with everything Ali said about Judas Priest. Like everything you said was correct. They have way more albums that are just way better.
Yeah.
But there's just all, like for me, like give me just like 3 or 4 Iron Maiden albums, and it's like, I don't know. It's like I love Judas Priest so much, but like there are so many more Iron Maiden songs that I've listened to like over and over and over and over and over for like years and years and years, and still a Judas Priest, but like just Judas Priest. But I don't know. It's like, yeah, I have to say, Iron Maiden. I don't know why.
All right.
Right on. How about I got a couple more. We can do these ones. Though these will probably be quicker. Death or Possessed?
Death.
I'm not really into Possessed.
Really?
And
Not even Seven Churches?
I mean, I think I've listened to Possessed maybe 2 times in my life.
I played them a bunch on our last tour. Actually, I was on a Possessed kick like last year in particular, but I don't think they really even hold a candle to Death, frankly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's actually a question I was going to ask. So a lot of like hardcore bands that I know, when they tour in the van, they don't want to listen to more hardcore because they just played it. They're going to, so they listen to a lot of hip hop. I've known hip hop guys. They listen to a lot of metal on the tour bus. Is that way for you guys? Do you just flip flop and listen to whatever, or do you take breaks for like just no metal for right now?
We listen to a lot of boy bands.
Is that right?
On tour.
Yeah, In Sync. No, it's Justin Timberlake pop. Is that it?
It's In Sync still. It was still In Sync. Come on.
In Sync was still going strong when Dirty Pop came out.
You don't have to pretend you don't know the answer to that, Ali. It's okay.
Yeah. What was that? Was that In Sync? Was it Jonathan Taylor Thomas? What's his name? I don't even know the guy's name.
Yeah. Well, besides that song playing over and over again, we listened to so much metal. I mean, it was us 3 and our friend Cheyenne, who is pretty much like our tour manager when she comes along with us.
She does merch stuff too, right? Just about all the yeah.
But yeah, just metal, pretty much. And then Dylan's favorite, what is it? Delaire Mende. What is his name?
Delaire Mendy.
Yeah.
Did we end up listening to that on tour?
We inevitably
get but I shut it down quickly.
There's a lot of people in the back with their own headphones on when something comes up on the main speakers.
Yeah, but I did have a problem with on our second tour. We've been touring in the same van for all our tours now, but the first 2 tours, the van was completely gutted, like it was uninsulated. It was very noisy, and we were driving on the road like blasting music to combat the outside noise of the van.
Yeah.
And I was like just screaming System of a Down, and I lost my voice.
The entire discography. Like we listened to fucking every last System of a Down song we could find.
And we screamed it. Thinking back is so dumb.
Very
stupid. I know, it was very stupid.
Was that also post Six Flags?
Yeah.
Like, was that like literally right? Like we went to Six Flags at like the top of our tour.
We had been screaming on all the roller coasters and then fucking blasting System of a Down.
Did you at least have the day off to recoup, or did you have to show that night?
I had like 3 days. Well, we had a few days off, and then on the last day off, or I think maybe the second day off, I started getting sick.
Oh no.
And then we ended up, it was like, I don't feel good. And then all of a sudden, like I was just profusely sweating and like shaking and like, in the bed in the van. But we played a show in Seattle, and the sound, like the PA wasn't that good. I couldn't really hear anything. And I was singing a Beekeeper song, and at a precise moment, I was like, yeah, I just lost my voice. And then for the rest, and that was like the beginning of the tour pretty much. So the rest of the tour was just instrumental. It was a sad, sad time.
That does sound rough, but it could be worse.
Yeah.
It could have been worse.
We still had good shows.
And Dylan and Wally were such troopers because I was such a fucking asshole for the rest of the time because I couldn't speak. So I was like slamming on anything to get their attention, and it was sad.
I have 2 more real quick. How about DRI or municipal waste?
Ooh, that is a good one. I would probably say they're both great, but I think I've just have more of a connection with municipal waste.
Okay.
Yeah,
But DRI
same.
is amazing, and yeah, I feel like there would be no municipal waste without DRI. I could be wrong. Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
That's always my sentiment.
Yeah.
Are you guys municipal waste across the board?
I feel
Dylan?
like I would have
Yeah.
to go with municipal waste. I guess I'd have to go with municipal waste, but I do really like DRI. It's funny, like I like the DRI vocals, and I sort of forget that they're like insane until anytime I show someone a DRI song, and they're like, yeah, okay, you know, and I'm always like, oh right, if you've never heard DRI vocals, you're gonna be like, who's this kid? Like you know what I mean? Like what, you know? So yeah, I'd have to say municipal waste.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Allie, you're on municipal waste train as well?
Yeah, I was really into municipal waste for like 2 years. I was like obsessed with them,
Mm-hmm.
and I never really got into DRI. So
You're not a big fan of the stuff that's closer to punk rock, huh?
I don't listen to much punk. It's funny because I mentioned before I was in like a punk band.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of only in that due to association. Like I was friends with the members and I was kind of absorbed into the band. But I really like Black Flag. That's like
Oh.
a punk band I can always get behind. Like I love Henry Rollins' vocals but yeah, other than that, I like crossover. Like Cross Examination I really like,
Mm-hmm.
and Municipal Waste.
Yeah.
But I'm just really into metal, like all the guitar melodies and solos, and I really like metal.
I get it. It makes sense. It's a different.
Amen, sister. Amen.
Last one. Ghoul or Toxic Holocaust?
I haven't really got into either of those.
Yeah, I don't really know
can't
either of
say.
those bands.
Oh, I am a big. This is one that Ian and I fight about a little bit. I'm a way bigger Ghoul fan. They've got kind of a Guar gimmick. They've got a whole backstory, and they do some things live like that. And they're a little more campy. They have a little bit more punk rock to them than Toxic Holocaust, which is a straight across the board thrash band with blast beats and shit. Anyway, well there you go. Check those guys out.
Well, fun
Will
fact, the drummer for Ghoul, his stage name is Fermenter,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
That
Spelled
was
exactly the same.
Exactly. It was not intentional. I want to be on record.
I believe it.
So speaking of names, how did you guys come up with Beekeeper then? Like, the world wants to know. We have at least.
Speaking of
At
the
least
world,
100 people will hear this, and we need the reason why you guys are Beekeeper. Are you like Toxic Crusaders all the way? Like, because I love bumblebees as well. I just need to know.
We're taking the world by swarm.
Yeah.
That's
Fuck
it.
yeah. That is the best answer. I love it.
Let's see. I had really just two more questions. You guys clearly get along really well, have a good rapport, and you've talked about some of the road conditions. You have any tips or tricks for dickheads that are going to be getting on the road as soon as this pandemic lifts for getting along on the road in tight quarters?
That is so tough because I think, you know, we're so lucky to be together as a band and be such good friends and get along, because I've known so many bands where everyone fucking hates each other and they have a miserable time touring.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually been on a few tours doing merch for other bands where I can see this terrible relationship between the bands, and I'm like, why are you doing this?
Right.
But yeah, that's fucking tough. Be in a band with people you actually like. That's my advice.
So it sounds like it's just personalities. It just happens to be the right three personalities together. And then obviously you've got your tour manager. And is it 5 people on the road or is it 4?
It's 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd like to have it 5. We'd like to tour with a sound person if we could afford that one day.
Sure.
But
I've run sound for us before.
Yeah.
Somehow.
No, but a real sound person.
But you know, on tour, I don't know if you guys have been on tour.
No, I really haven't. I've always lived by the adage: if you can get back to your own bed by the end of the night, you're not on tour.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say, like, if you can get back to your bed by the end of the night, then do that.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree with both of those things. Yeah.
I agree.
But I've always experienced, like, on every tour that I've been on, whether it be with Beekeeper or I've been working for another band, it's like once you hit the road and you're away from your home for a few days and you're like stuck with whoever, you know, in a van for weeks or a month, it's like you have to adjust to it. And I've coined the term the tour blues. They come around like within the first 5 days. It's like you got the tour blues, and you just kind of got to get over that hump and
click in.
Just fucking make the best out of it. It's like you're stuck with these people. Just appreciate it, and you get to play music. You have the luxury to do this, and it's like you should be grateful. You fuck.
Also, to add on to what Ali was saying about the personalities, is it's like metal, like music in general, live music, but also particularly like metal, since it's such a fun, cool thing that so many people like, it attracts so many different types of people into it that are into it for all sorts of different reasons, including the wrong reasons. So it's like, as you're in bands and you meet some people, it's like you realize, oh, this guy's just in music because he just wants to party and get like fucked up, or this guy's just into music because he's just like trying to get a girlfriend, or like this person's delusional about, like, their fans and they don't realize that they can't even play. And it's like luckily it's like, as you meet new people, you're able to like find, we're lucky enough to have found each other where it's like, okay, you're into music because you like playing music and you want to travel playing music and be successful and have a fun, like, you don't care about the stupid rock star bullshit that everybody, you know what I mean? It's like we are all in it for the same reasons, and which we believe to be the right reasons. And I feel like that is what is really helpful with us working with each other and going on tour and not wanting to kill each other, because we all understand the goal that we're all trying to achieve. We're all on the same page that way, I feel.
Tremendous. You can check out, we have a couple of tour documentaries up on our YouTube. You can check out, there's a lot of like tips and tricks on there from the road. You can see how we, just like as our minds slowly devolve over time, and then, then it like clicks in, and then how we just like keep our spirits up through our time on the road. And yeah, like Dylan says, like making the best of it, or down, whatever.
Yeah. The only other that's actually a really good place to leave it, but I'm dying to know about this. First of all, every single pun you guys use regarding bees is my favorite thing in the world. Everyone's better than the last. So Bees Company is the most brilliant shit ever. Are you going to continue to do this for some time? Are you going to continue after the pandemic?
Yeah, we'd like to. It's funny because okay.
Oh boy.
Well done.
That was a stretch. Right before the lockdown, I think it was like the day before it was announced. Is that right, guys?
What are you referring to? I need to know the rest of the story before I confirm what we're talking about.
We did a podcast at Wally's house.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I don't remember what day it was. All right, well, I don't remember exactly what day it was.
Wasn't that like the day before the lockdown?
It was definitely close, because I remember us talking about it at that point.
Because I didn't even want to go because I was so freaked out about COVID. And I said, like, we all have to be at least 6 feet apart. We sat in Wally's
in this
garage.
very room.
Yeah, his studio. I'm sorry.
It does look familiar.
We call it the garage.
Yeah. But we all sat like super far away from each other with our own microphones, and we tested out like doing a podcast with Cheyenne, and yeah, so it was definitely on our minds like before the lockdown, and we started doing Bees Company, so we definitely want to keep going with it, but I think our main focus is getting ready to record our next album.
Sure.
Yeah.
The couch slide gimmick that you did, I laughed so hard at that I had to start the video over several times. And every time I'd pop, and then I'm like, dude, I have to not start it from there. I have to pause. That killed me so bad.
Also, you know how like Zoom, I'm about to say both types of Zoom. Like Zoom, sort of like it doesn't sometimes show you the full like frame.
Sure.
So you can tell that like all three of us don't have the full frame because you could see that all of our heads are at the bottom, but like we all thought we were coming from off camera. Yeah. So it's like you could tell that we're on Zoom because it's like, yeah, you can tell because you can see my head, but I think I'm off camera because it never shows you the full like frame.
I fucking love it. So good. Terry, did you have anything else, buddy?
No, I'm just really stoked you guys came on our show. Me and Ryan both really fucking appreciate it. We love your all of your work. I want to see you guys out on the road and releasing new shit as soon as possible, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks very much. This is great.
Thank you so much for doing this. Do you guys have any last parting words for the kids at home?
Check out our shit.
Follow us on Instagram, Beekeeper Metal, Facebook, you know, everything's Beekeeper Metal, beekeepermetal.com, bandcamp.com, or beekeepermetal.bandcamp.com.
Oh my god. Good luck sorting through all of that, guys.
Buy all that merch. Look at this motherfucker. This is the baddest.
Type that in. Type that
in. Yeah, keep an eye out for our new album.
Blazing
coming
Star.
out soon. It's called Blazing Star.
All right.
And it's only gonna build off of what we
it's
started.
Gonna be really, really good.
Right on. Oh, you know what? No, I had one more I thought of in the middle of this. Real quick. King Diamond or Merciful Fate?
Oh boy.
Oh, Allie's heated.
I mean, King Diamond. I love Merciful Fate. I mean, it's so similar, you know, because King Diamond is doing the vocals for both.
Right.
But
I'm gonna say
I love
Merciful
Andy
Fate.
LaRock, you know, Mickey D on drums.
Yep.
So, yeah, King Diamond.
You're saying Merciful Fate there, Wally?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Just because I know it better.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
I'd say Merciful Fate. Also, Merciful Fate, I would say, is the only band that I know like 100% of their songs, and they're all good, and I like all of them. You know, like they have 7 albums. I know them all backwards and forwards. You know, I love King Diamond too, but there's some King Diamond albums I've never even listened to. I've never even heard them. You know, like Abigail 2. I have no idea what it. You know, I have no idea what it is. It could be great. It could be not. But it's like, you know, that tells you that it's like, you know. So Merciful Fate.
Fair enough. Anyway, I appreciate you guys giving up so much of your time for this. All the best of luck in the future, and hopefully we'll see you on the road soon.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
For sure, guys.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.
See ya.
Later.